Hey guys, it's Will from the Back 40, and I hope you're having a great day. I am in beautiful Southern California. I'm at meetings all the way through Friday, and then I'll be headed back to my home state of Missouri, where I can't wait to get home and see my kids and grandkids going into the Christmas holiday season. But I've heard the question you've been asking. Will, what do you think of the $12 billion bailout that the Trump administration is offering farmers? I'm going to tell you the same thing I've been telling you for the last year. So buckle up and get ready. The first thing I want to address are the two big lies that the president told from the Oval Office when he announced what he was going to do. Folks, if you still believe that there's a giant bank account out there that we collect tariff money from other countries and put it in order to dole it out to American citizens, then you are one of the most willfully ignorant people in the country. It's time to put that behind you. It isn't true. It's never been true. It never will be true. So let's just make it clear what this is. It's the exact same type of bailout that farmers have been getting since World War II. We pay the tariffs. The American consumer and American companies that order products from overseas pay the taxes on those products to be brought into the United States, goes into the general fund, and the money that's going for these bailouts is not tariff money, it's tax money, just like it is every time we do it. So number one, the president's lying about where the money comes from. Let's talk about lie number two. Lie number two is that the president is having to do this because of Joe Biden. I'm going to take a minute and show you the two charts that I've been showing you for the last year that prove that what the president said about, quote unquote, having to step in to clean up Joe Biden's problem is a lie of monumental proportions. Here we go. I've shown you this before, and the numbers haven't changed in a year, and none of you have disproven them, even those of you that come on to claim that they're not right. They are still sitting out there on the USDA website under the Trump administration, and you could rest assured that if these numbers were wrong, they would have been taken down long before now, especially given the Trump administration's penchant for taking down even numbers that are valid. These are net farm incomes under Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. And as you can see, for every year during the first 3 years of each administration, Joe Biden outproduced Donald Trump in net farm income by almost double. There is absolutely no way you can legitimately make the claim that from an economic perspective, Joe Biden was worse for the American farmer than Donald Trump was during his first term. Net farm incomes were almost double. We had the largest soybean sale in American history to China in 2022 under the Biden administration. And when you put together the fact that Biden was able to do all of this, even given the fact that China was spending hundreds of millions of dollars in South America to create new markets in order to be able to buy commodities there instead of here, it's really a miracle that Biden was able to put it off. And this is the other graph that proves the same thing. And this is past subsidies to American farmers. Donald Trump was so bad for the American farmer and rancher that direct payment to farms during the last year of the Trump administration and the first 2 years of the Biden administration after Trump was voted out of office were the largest subsidies ever given to farmers in the history of this country in regard to a dollar amount. I want you to hear that again. Donald Trump's trade policies and tariff policies were so bad for American farming and ranching that we had to have a record level of subsidies the last year of Donald Trump's term in office, all the way through the second year of Biden's office, in order to save the American farmer for bankruptcy. Again, these numbers are still on the USDA website. They're still accepted by the Trump administration. If they were wrong, they would have been taken down long before now. Now, let's talk again about what we've talked about before, and that is during Trump's administration, the first time around, the Chinese weren't prepared for these tariffs. They had a disease going through their pork population. They were not offering their own farmers any subsidies when they had a bad year. And the bottom line is they had no reserves of commodities. Those are problems, and I've been mentioning this for a year in multiple videos that are still on all of my social media. These are problems that they've been rectifying over the past year. They offer their farmers subsidies now. They've got massive reserves of commodities, and they went down to South America and spent hundreds of millions of dollars helping to burn down the rainforest, fix rail transportation, and fix harbor transportation in order to get these commodities in Brazil and Argentina and other countries more easily back to China when they needed them. And remember what I told you before the last election, that if all of these things remain true, China would go from purchasing around 13% of their row crop commodities from Brazil to over 40%. Well, guess what's happened? Just that. Not a single thing I told you before the last election has proven to be untrue. Every bit of it has played out exactly the way we said it would play out here at the Back 40. And I know a lot of you remember it because you've been following me since I came on here a year ago. So here's what I think needs to be done. Here's how I think these subsidy dollars ought to be spent. Let me know what you think. Comment, share the video. Let me know what you think. I really do want to know. First of all, I'm going to tell you something I've been saying for over a year. We need to take some of these dollars and we need to create an agricultural trade czar inside the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We need somebody specifically dedicated to going around the world to negotiate trade deals in the area of agriculture to get American-grown food and commodities sold around the world. It's hard to believe that we don't have a person like that can be the name and face behind international trade growth in the area of agriculture. It's going to be in our contract for rural America. We're going to call for it there when we ask everybody that lives in rural America, people running for office in rural America, companies that do business in rural America, as we go out and ask them to sign the contract for rural America, creating the position of international agricultural trade czar is going to be part of that plan. The second thing, and I know this is radical, but I think we need to try something radical. I think big corporate ag businesses ought to have to eat some of the losses this year. The bottom line is every single year we do the same thing to the American farmer and rancher. We make them eat the losses that are incurred in agriculture for things that they can't control. Just a handful of businesses in every category, whether it's meat processing, fertilizer production, pesticide production, seed production, whatever it might be, there's just no competition out there anymore. And this has caused them to use monopolistic practices that have really raised the price of inputs in this country. And while inputs have gone through the roof, the amount that farmers can sell their products for has basically stayed flat since guess when? The 1970s. So here's my radical idea. Let the farmers take 20% of the subsidy money that they get and put it in their pockets. That money doesn't go anywhere. That's profit on their crop that they can keep in their pocket, that they can spend locally in their local economy, which feeds up to 60% of the GDP in their local rural area in any given year. Then we prioritize after that. Next, the farmers should be forced to pay the small businesses in their local communities or businesses that qualify as small businesses across the country. They should be the next people to get paid. And finally, whatever's left over after the farmer keeps their 20% and those small businesses get paid, whatever's left in the account, then that check can be written to Big Ag. Because just imagine, if Big Ag, because of their monopolistic practices and their focus on 100% shareholder happiness over what's good for farming and ranching in this country, if they were to have to incur those losses, how long do you think it would be before they would fix the underlying problem instead of ignoring it year after year in order to get federal dollars through the American farmer as a pass-through, as a direct result of subsidies? I know it's radical, guys, but I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think about this radical idea that I've got? And the reason why I think we have to do the subsidies is because it's very clear now that even in the one limited area where Trump supposedly stepped up to help farmers and ranchers, and that was soybean sales to China, that deal that was never a deal but was the concept of a plan of a hope of a deal has already fallen through. Contrary to buying 12 to 14 billion metric tons of soybeans, the Chinese have only bought a little over 2 billion, and now they're saying they're not going to buy the rest of that amount until February of next year. And again, no plan in place, no teeth, no ramifications for not doing so. So there is no cavalry coming over the hill for the American farmer and rancher. It's going to have to be a subsidy program. But that subsidy program ought to have stipulations on there that help the American farmer and rancher, help grow agricultural commerce around the world, and teach a valuable lesson to Big Ag. And that is, if you continue with the same practices, you'll lose in the end.